In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the basics of animation using Blender. The version of Blender that I'm using is version 2.83. Animation refers to a process of taking multiple still images and combining them in sequence to make a motion picture. This can be as simple as moving an object from one position to the other, like I'm going to show you in this example. What we are looking at right now is the default scene in Blender. But what I'm going to do to make it easier, there is a special animation tab. So if I click the animation workspace, this is the view from the camera. This is my workspace, and this is a dope sheet, which is like my timeline. So the good thing about this view is if I move it, I can see whether it's in camera view or not. So G on your keyboard means you can grab and move the box where you want to move it. Then S is to scale, okay? R is to rotate. Keyboard shortcuts that you can also use. So if you click here where it says output properties, you're going to see here we have our animation starts at frame number 1 and ends at frame 250, which is the same here, frame 1 and frame 250. And we can see here the frame rate. So these are all the different frame rate that you can use, but we're just using the default, which is 24 frames per second. So what does that mean? It means for 1 second of animation, you have 24 images, each image being a frame. So you need 24 images to just make 1 second of animation. But the good thing about Blender is it can automatically generate for you all the transition frames. All you need to define is the starting keyframe and the ending keyframe. Then all the transition keyframes in between, the system uses highly complex simulation algorithms to generate that for you. That's what makes it easier to animate using computers. Back in the day when they used to animate using drawings, you had to draw each of those 24 images to make 1 second of animation. But what they also did back in the day, they would have the highest paid animators, the good animators, they would do the keyframes. Then the other junior people would do the intermediate transition frames. Let's start animating our cube. I'm going to click G on the keyboard. Then I'll lock it on the Y-axis. Then I'm going to move my cube. So this is going to be my starting point. So at frame number 1, we want the cube to be in that position. We need to tell the system by inserting a keyframe. So to insert a keyframe, click I on the keyboard. Then the keyframe we are going to add now is just for a location. So I'm just saying location keyframe. Then I'm going to move my playhead to frame 30. Once I move it to frame 30, I'm going to click G on the keyboard, lock it in the Y-axis. Then I'm going to move the cube to that position there. I have to add a keyframe. So click I on the keyboard and its location again. Okay. So as you can see, I have a keyframe at position 0, which is the starting point of the frames. Then on frame 30, I've got another keyframe. So the system will generate all the images from frame 1 to frame 30 for me, which makes my life easy, because now if I bring my playhead back here and I click play, do you see now the cube has been animated to move from frame 1 to frame 30. That makes life easy for us. As you can see, after frame 30, there's no animation. We can actually reduce the number of frames that we're after. Maybe I'll change that to want our animation to end at frame 60. Okay. So as you can see, if I play now, it will go to frame 60, start again up to frame 60. So that's how you animate using Blender. In next lessons, we are going to do more complex animations, but this is just an introduction to animation. Please share, like, and subscribe to our channel.